"You want to hire humans?" I clicked my mandibles in disbelief, staring at my assistant, Trin Vex, as if she'd suddenly sprouted a second head. For our security force, the slender Arxylian's iridescent scales flickered with determination as she projected the statistics onto my office wall. "Commander, our current security protocols are, well, they're predictable. The Crimson Cartel has breached 6 high-security facilities in the past cycle. Alone, I slumped in my hovering chair, watching it adjust to my shifting weight. She wasn't wrong. The reports were clear, and the chaos was only escalating. The crime rates in District 7 had skyrocketed ever since those tentacled terrorists figured out our standard response patterns. But humans, those chaos-loving adrenaline junkies? Show me the candidates. We need unconventional solutions, I sighed, already regretting my decision to even consider this. The first hologram flickered to life. Captain Elias Havoc Carter, former Earth Special Forces. The human male grinned at the camera like he'd just found out chaos was having a sale. His psychological evaluation notes that he, quote, treats every security breach like he's the protagonist of an action movie, Trin Vex read, her tail swishing with barely contained excitement. "That's not a good thing," I muttered, "but look at his success rate." She pulled up another chart. 98.7% mission completion, with only minimal structural damage to double quotes, minimal structural damage. Well, by human standards, the next hologram appeared. It, Aurora Flashbang Lin, demolitions expert. The human female was wearing what appeared to be a tactical vest covered in sequins. She specializes in what humans call fabulous warfare, Trin Vex explained. Apparently, she believes that if you have to neutralize a threat, you might as well do it with style. I buried my face in my upper appendages. "Please tell me the next one is somewhat normal. Oh, this is Sergeant Darius Bard Johnson. He quotes classical Earth literature during combat operations." The hologram showed a dark-skinned human with a dazzling smile, holding what appeared to be a skull in one hand and a plasma rifle in the other. "To yeet or not to yeet? That is the question," Trin Vex quoted from his file, looking entirely too pleased with herself. "I don't even want to know what yeet means," I groaned. "But their qualifications are impressive, I'll grant you that. And here's the best part," Trin Vex's scales shifted to an excited purple. "They work as a team. They call themselves the Chaos Contingency. That's not reassuring, but think about it, Commander. The Crimson Cartel succeeds because they can predict our every move. These humans? They don't even know what they're going to do next themselves." I stared at the 3 holograms, each human wearing an expression that somehow managed to convey both absolute professionalism and barely contained mischief. The security budget report for the last quarter floated in my peripheral vision, along with the damage estimates from the latest syndicate raid. "Fine," I finally declared, my mandibles clicking in resignation. "Hire them." But I raised a warning appendage. "They are your responsibility, Trin Vex. When something explodes, it's on you." My assistant's scales turned a jubilant gold. "You won't regret this, Commander." "I already do," I muttered, watching her practically bounce out of my office to send the job offers. Little did I know that was just the beginning of what would become the most chaotic, successful, and oddly entertaining security operation in Galactic Council history. The Crimson Cartel wouldn't know what hit them literally, because sometimes it would be a glitter bomb, sometimes it would be a dramatically delivered soliloquy, and sometimes it would be Commander Martinez swinging from a chandelier while humming what he called his action movie theme song. The first incident happened astonishingly fast, barely to standard rotations into their tenure. The security alarm in the precious metals vault blared at what humans would call 3 a.m., and I rushed to the security center, expecting the worst. I found Lieutenant Chun coordinating the response, her tactical vest somehow managing to catch every light in the room. "Status report," I demanded. She grinned, an expression I would soon learn to fear. "Oh, don't worry, Commander. We've got a little welcome party planned for our tentacled friends." Shakespeare's in position with a dramatic monologue, and mayhem is, well, being mayhem. Through the security feeds, I watched in horror and fascination as Commander Martinez ziplined across the vault atrium, shooting with impossible accuracy while shouting, "Your regularly scheduled crime has been cancelled due to awesome." Meanwhile, Sergeant Williams had somehow managed to corner 3 syndicate operatives and was gesturing dramatically with a thermal detonator. "Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your surrenders." "What? What is happening?" I whispered. Lieutenant Chun just patted my exoskeleton with a bedazzled glove. "That, Commander, is what we call style points now. If you'll excuse me, I need to deploy the tactical glitter grenades. They'll be finding sparkles in their tentacles for weeks, and somehow, impossibly, it worked. The syndicate's carefully planned heist fell apart in the face of pure weaponized chaos. As I watched the last criminal being led away, covered in glitter and looking shell-shocked, while Sergeant Williams recited what he claimed was a sick burn from someone called Shakespeare, I realized something terrible. Trin Vex was right. If I thought the vault incident was the peak of human-induced chaos, I was sorely mistaken. Over the next few cycles, our security reports started reading like what humans call action movie scripts, though I'm still not entirely sure what a die-hard is, or why Commander Martinez keeps referring to himself as the next generation. The incident that truly made me question my life choices occurred during the annual Galactic Peace Summit. Prestigious diplomats from 17 star systems were gathering in our main conference center, and I had specifically ordered the chaos contingency to maintain a low profile. I should have known better. Commander, Trin Vex's scales were flashing emergency patterns as she burst into my office. "We've intercepted communications suggesting the Scarlet Syndicate is planning something big during the summit." "Of course they are," I sighed, already feeling a headache building in all 3 of my brain cores. "Where's the team?" Well, her scales shifted to an embarrassed mauve. "Lieutenant Chun is currently disguised as a chandelier." "She's what?" She bedazzled her tactical suit with crystals and is hanging upside down from the ceiling. "Says it's the perfect vantage point. Commander Martinez is posing as a waiter." "A waiter?" "He's the least subtle being in the galaxy. And Sergeant Williams has somehow convinced the Andromedian ambassador that he's performing an ancient Earth ritual called stand-up comedy as cover for his surveillance." I clicked my mandibles in distress. This is a diplomatic catastrophe waiting to happen. That's when the lights went out. In the darkness, I heard Lieutenant Chun's voice over the comm. "Showtime. Boys, Operation Party Crashers is a go. Try to keep the property damage aesthetic this time." "Copy that." Glitter Queen Martinez's voice crackled back. "Shakespeare, hit it." Through the emergency lighting, I watched in horror as Sergeant Williams leaped onto the main banquet table, plasma rifle in one hand and what appeared to be a human beverage called a martini in the other. "Dearly beloved," he boomed, causing several diplomats to jump in their seats. "We are gathered here today to kick some tentacle butt." The ceiling burst open, and a dozen syndicate operatives rappelled down directly into Lieutenant Chun's waiting trap. The chandelier exploded into a tornado of sparkles and sonic pulses, sending 3 criminals flying back up through the hole they'd made. "Now that's what I call a ceiling fan," Chun cackled, detaching from her perch to swing through the chaos like some bizarre glittering pendulum. Commander Martinez, meanwhile, had turned his serving tray into an impromptu shield, deflecting laser fire while sliding across the buffet table. "Dinner is served, ladies and gentle beings," he shouted, launching appetizers with terrifying accuracy at the intruder's sensory organs. Did you just take down a syndicate enforcer with shrimp puffs?" I asked nobody in particular. "Technically, they're Centaurian caviar canapes," Marishkal corrected, her scales now showing patterns of both concern and amusement. "Very expensive ones. The council will have my exoskeleton for this." But the diplomats weren't running in terror as I'd expected. The Andromedian ambassador was actually recording the spectacle on their personal quantum imager, tentacles waving in excitement. "This is magnificent," they burbled. "We haven't had entertainment like this since the Great Nebula Opera House incident of 2184. Sergeant Williams, had now cornered the syndicate's leader behind the dessert table, his plasma rifle aimed steadily. To surrender or not to surrender? Though, in your case, that's not really a question. That doesn't even make sense, the criminal leader protested. Neither does trying to crash a peace summit, Williams shot back, before actually shooting back with a concentrated burst of what appeared to be ... Is that weaponized frosting? I asked weakly. Lieutenant Chun's latest invention, Marischal explained. She calls it sweet justice. It hardens on contact and tastes like vanilla. The battle ended as chaotically as it began. The syndicate operatives found themselves thoroughly subdued. Some stuck to walls with hardened frosting, others tangled in Chun's tactical tinsel. I didn't even want to know where she'd hidden that. And a few simply lying on the ground moaning about their sudden headaches from Martinez's action movie one-liners. I was preparing my resignation speech when the Galactic Council's chief representative approached me, all 6 eyes blinking in rapid succession. "Commander P. Thorne," they said, and I braced for the worst. That was the most effective security response I've ever witnessed. I nearly shed my exoskeleton in shock. It was indeed. The Crimson Cartel has attempted similar attacks at 3 other diplomatic functions this cycle, all ended in significant casualties and successful thefts. But this, they gestured at the glitter-covered, frosting-splattered, yet remarkably intact conference hall. This was unprecedented. It was, certainly, that I agreed faintly. Plus, the Andromedian ambassador chimed in, still recording. My spawning cluster will never believe the part where the human female swung from the ceiling crystals while singing something called Wrecking Ball. As the diplomats crowded around Lieutenant Chun, demanding demonstrations of her tactical glitter, deployment techniques, Commander Martinez helping himself to the surviving appetizers, and Sergeant Williams attempting to teach the Rigelian ambassador something called a fist bump, I realized something profound. The universe had not become more chaotic since we hired humans. The chaos had always been there, we just hadn't been fighting it with the right kind of crazy. Commander Marischal's scales had shifted to a smug shade of gold. Should I prepare the commendation papers? I watched as Chun demonstrated her sparkle suppression technique to an enthralled group of security chiefs from 3 different star systems. Prepare the hazard pay forms first, and perhaps requisition more glitter. Right away, Commander. Though you should know, Commander Martinez is already planning something he calls a die-hard Christmas special for next month's security drill. I didn't even want to know. The success of the Peace Summit incident had unfortunate consequences. Not only had our human security team gained a fan following among the diplomatic corps, the Andromedian ambassador now wore a Team Glitter Bomb pin, but their methods were starting to influence our regular security forces. Just yesterday, I caught the Vexillian guards practicing what they called dramatic entrances in the maintenance shaft, but I couldn't deny the results. The Crimson Cartel's activities in our sector had dropped by 73%, and our security response time had improved by 89%. Even if that did include Martinez's unauthorized use of the emergency slide to reach crime scenes faster. Everything changed, however, when we discovered the true scope of what we were dealing with. Commander Marischal burst into my office, her scales a concerning shade of crimson. "We've decoded the syndicates, recent communications. The Peace Summit wasn't their real target. It was a test." I lowered my morning nutrient supplement. A test for what? They wanted to assess our new security protocols. They're planning something massive, a synchronized attack on multiple high-security facilities across the sector. They're calling it Operation Eclipse Storm. From the doorway came a low whistle. Commander Martinez leaned against the frame, for once not, wearing his trademark grin. Now that's what I call a proper villain plot. Very Independence Day meets Ocean's 11. I understood exactly none of those references. I clicked irritably. "Where are the others? Nova is upgrading her tactical glitter to work in 0G. He replied, entering the office proper. "And Shakespeare's memorizing Sun Tzu's Art of War. Says he wants to quote something appropriate when we foil their master plan." "If we foil their master plan," I corrected. This isn't like their usual smash and grab operations. They're targeting 13 facilities simultaneously. Then I guess we'll have to be in 13 places at once. Lieutenant Chun's voice came from above us. We all looked up. She was hanging upside down from an air vent, her tactical vest somehow managing to sparkle even in the dim light. "How long have you been up there?" I demanded. "Long enough to have ideas," she grinned, executing a perfect flip to land beside Martinez. "Big, beautiful chaos theory ideas." "Oh no, oh yes," Sergeant Williams strode in, datapad in hand. To quote the great strategist Sun Tzu, "All warfare is based on deception," or as I like to say, time to pull a galaxy brain bamboozle on these suckers. I buried my face in my appendages. "Please tell me you have an actual plan and not just human idioms." "Better." Chun's eyes sparkled dangerously. "We have a montage-worthy training program. We're going to turn your entire security force into a chaos-wielding precision instrument. And that's how, over the next standard week, my once orderly security headquarters turned into what the humans called Action Hero Boot Camp." Lieutenant Chun taught advanced classes in tactical fabulousness, which somehow included both proper explosive placement and color coordination. Remember, she'd tell the bewildered trainees, "If you're going to save the day, do it with style." Commander Martinez focused on what he called Action Movie Physics 101, teaching guards how to use environmental objects as improvised weapons and vehicles. I'm still not sure how he managed to turn a mail cart into a high-speed pursuit vehicle, but the maintenance staff has requested he stop demonstrating. Sergeant Williams. Meanwhile, combined combat training with theatrical performance. "Your battle cry should pierce their souls," he instructed a group of traditionally stoic Vexillian warriors. "Make them question their life choices through the power of dramatic delivery." The most surprising part. It was working. Our security forces were becoming more unpredictable, more adaptable, and more effective. Even my most traditional officers were beginning to embrace what Martinez called controlled chaos theory. "The key," he explained during a strategy session, "is making them think we're completely insane while actually being 12 steps ahead." "We are completely insane," Chun pointed out, hanging upside down from a light fixture. I'd given up asking how she kept doing that. "Yes, but it's tactical insanity now," Williams looked up from his datapad. To quote the bard, "Though this be madness, yet there is method in't." "See," Martinez gestured triumphantly. "Shakespeare agrees." "I meant actual Shakespeare, not my call sign." Same difference. I watched as they continued planning, their seemingly random ideas weaving together into something that actually resembled a coherent strategy. The human capacity for controlled chaos was fascinating, like watching a hurricane organize itself into a precise surgical instrument. Then came the day we intercepted more syndicate communications. Operation Eclipse Storm was scheduled to begin in less than 48 hours. Commander Katar Zell's scales shifted nervously as she showed me the latest intelligence. "They've increased their numbers. Each facility will be hit by at least 30 operatives." I should have been worried. Instead, I found myself feeling oddly calm. "Have they adjusted their strategy to account for our new protocols?" "No, sir. They still think the Peace Summit response was a fluke." "Perfect." I turned to the humans, who were all wearing expressions that would have set any sane criminal running for the nearest wormhole. "I assume you have something appropriately chaotic planned." Chun's grin could have powered a small star system. "Oh, Commander, you have no idea. Tell them the name." "Shakespeare." Williams struck a dramatic pose. "Operation Hold My Beer and Watch This." "I don't know what that means," I admitted. "But I suspect I'm going to regret asking for details." Martinez clapped me on the shoulder, something that would have gotten any other being expelled from my office. "Trust me, boss, you don't want to spoil the surprise. Just make sure the repair budget is approved and maybe warn the insurance company. And requisition more glitter," Chun added. "Like a lot more glitter. Enough to fill a small moon," Williams agreed. I looked at my security team of professional, disciplined aliens now practicing power slides and one-liners alongside 3 humans who treated galactic security like an action movie production. Very well, I clicked my mandibles in resignation. Execute operation whatever you call it. But please, try to keep at least some of the facilities structurally intact this time. No promises, they chorused, and somehow that was more reassuring than any traditional response could have been. The Crimson Cartel wasn't going to know what hit them. Literally, because knowing Lieutenant Chun, it would probably involve sonic glitter bombs synchronized to something called Eye of the Tiger. T-3 hours until Operation Eclipse Storm, and my security headquarters had transformed into what Commander Martinez called Mission Control Chaos Edition. The main operations center looked like a cross between a tactical command post and what humans apparently call a rave. All units report ready, Katar Zell announced, her scales flickering between professional blue and excited gold. Though I'm still not sure about Team 7's battle cry, Yippee-ki-yay is a classic. Martinez protested from his station, where he was somehow managing to spin in his chair while maintaining perfect situational awareness. You can't go wrong with the classics. Lieutenant Chun descended from her now customary ceiling perch, her tactical vest modified with what appeared to be miniature, strobing dance lights. All glitter delivery systems are primed and synchronized. Operation Panic at the Disco is ready to launch. I thought we were calling it Hold My Beer, and watch this, I clicked in confusion. That's the overall operation name, Williams explained, not looking up from where he was teaching a group of Vexillion guards the proper dramatic timing for slow motion walking. Each subcomponent has its own thematically appropriate title. For example, Chun grinned, Martinez's vehicular chaos plan is called Fast and Furiously Ridiculous, and Williams' infiltration team is Much Ado About Kicking Butt, Martinez added. I decided not to ask about the other operation names. My brain cores could only handle so much human creativity at once. 2 hours to execution, Katar Zell announced. Syndicate forces are moving into position exactly as predicted. They were indeed. Our intelligence suggested they had no idea we decoded their communications. They still thought their Operation Eclipse Storm was a complete surprise, which was exactly how we wanted it. What followed was the most organized chaos I'd ever witnessed. All units, Martinez's voice crackled over the suddenly all business. Execute Operation Party Crashers on my mark. Remember your training, remember your one-liners, and for the love of all things explosive, remember Lieutenant Chun's rule number 1. Glitter gets everywhere, came the synchronized response from hundreds of security personnel. That's not actually rule number 1, Chun muttered. Close enough, Martinez grinned. 3, 2, 1, light M up. Across 13 facilities, carefully orchestrated mayhem erupted. At the Quantum Research Lab, Williams' team executed what he called a Shakespeare in the Park meets Die Hard maneuver. The Syndicate forces breached the main entrance, only to find themselves in a theatrical ambush. Friends, Romans, countrymen, Williams' voice boomed through the facility speakers. Lend me your surrender. The criminals hesitated, exactly as planned. That moment of confusion was all our forces needed. Panels in the walls slid open, revealing guards who had been practicing their dramatic entrances for a week straight. The play is the thing, Williams announced, rappelling from the ceiling. But wherein will catch the conscience of the space criminals. At the central banking repository, Martinez's Fast and Furiously Ridiculous was in full swing. He had somehow modified the facility's automated delivery system into what he called a Tokyo Drift training simulator. Drift apparently meant slide sideways while shooting with impossible accuracy. This is what happens when you bring tentacles to a hover cart fight, he whooped, leading a squadron of security guards in what appeared to be choreographed vehicular ballet. But it was at the Galactic Peace Summit venue, still being repaired from the last incident, where Lieutenant Chun truly outdid herself. Initiating Operation Panic at the Disco, she announced with far too much glee. Hit it, DJ Katar Zell, my assistant, who had apparently picked up some human music appreciation during training, activated what Chun called the party protocol. The entire building's lighting system, recently upgraded by our chaos specialists, burst into synchronized strubbing patterns. Bass-heavy earth music thundered through the security speakers, and from carefully concealed deployment tubes, precisely calibrated clouds of tactical glitter filled the air. "I can't see a syndicate operative," complained. "That's the point," Chun's voice sang out, followed by the distinctive sound of what she called a glitter bomb dropkick. The syndicate forces, trained for stealth and precision, found themselves completely overwhelmed by pure weaponized spectacle. Their thermal imaging was useless through the glitter clouds, their motion sensors were confused by the strobing lights, and their tactical coordination fell apart entirely when faced with security forces who treated combat like a dance-off. "Remember, darlings," Chun called out to her team. "If you're not fabulous, you're doing it wrong." Back in the command center, I watched in astonishment as the situation reports rolled in. The Syndicate's carefully planned operation was falling apart across all 13 targets, overwhelmed by what Martinez called precision chaos theory in action. "Status report," I demanded. K-Tarzel's scales were practically strubbing with excitement. 11 facilities secured. Minimal structural damage to, well, 8 of them. Team 7 is still arguing about proper one-liner delivery, but they've got the situation under control. And the other 2? Martinez is still joyriding, tactically pursuing, the last of the criminals at the banking repository. And at the Peace Summit venue, she paused, checking the feeds. Lieutenant Chun appears to be teaching captured syndicate operatives something called the Macarena while they wait for transport. The what? "Trust me," Commander Williams chimed in via comm. "You don't want to know." But the criminals seemed oddly cooperative when faced with the choice between surrender and learning human dance moves. The main operation was over in less than 40 minutes. 40 minutes of the most spectacular, ridiculous, and somehow effective security response in galactic history. The final numbers were impressive. 397 syndicate operatives captured, 13 facilities secured, only 3 buildings requiring major structural repairs, a new record for our human team, and enough captured intelligence to cripple the Syndicate's operations across 3 sectors. C. Martinez grinned as he strode into the command center, slightly singed but triumphant. "Told you chaos theory works." Chun swung in through a ventilation shaft. I'd long since stopped asking how she kept finding them. "And we didn't even have to use Plan B. Do I want to know what Plan B was?" I asked, against my better judgment. "Remember that antimatter we requisitioned?" Williams appeared, somehow having changed into what he called his victory monologue costume. "The request I explicitly denied." "Exactly," Chun beamed. "Good thing we didn't need it. Though I still think the glitter bomb singularity would have been epic, I decided some questions were better left unasked. Besides, I had paperwork to file, including explaining to the Council how our security forces had repelled a major criminal operation while violating at least 15 different safety protocols and inventing 6 new ones. But as I watched my newly trained chaos specialists celebrating their victory, humans and aliens alike, practicing their one-liners and comparing glitter deployment techniques, I realized something important. Sometimes the best defense against chaos isn't order, it's better chaos. They say that in space, no one can hear you scream. However, as I've learned over the past few months, they can definitely hear humans laugh, especially when those humans are celebrating what they call an epic win. The aftermath of Operation Hold My Beer and Watch This was interesting, to say the least. Commander Merrickstell bounded into my office, her scales cycling through colors so quickly, I feared she might short-circuit. "You need to see the latest GalacticNet headlines." She projected the news feeds onto my wall, and I felt my mandibles click in disbelief. Chaos theory, the new frontier in galactic security. Tactical glitter sales soar across 17 sectors. Top 10 security one-liners you won't believe. Number 7. "We're trending," Lieutenant Chun announced, materializing from somewhere. I'd stopped trying to track her entrances. The Andromedian ambassador's video of our operation has gone viral. We've got security forces from 12 different species requesting training programs. The Rigelian Defense Academy wants me to give a lecture on the art of war meets the art of sass, Williams added, appearing in my doorway with his trademark dramatic flair. They're particularly interested in the psychological impact of well-timed theatrical references during combat situations. Commander Martinez spun into view in my supposedly locked executive hover chair. And the Galactic Council's Anti-Crime Division wants to establish what they're calling the Controlled Chaos Protocol. They're suggesting making our methods standard across all high-security facilities. I should have been horrified. Instead, I found myself laughing. The sound startled everyone in the room, especially since Vexillian laughter sounds remarkably like a small engine backfiring. You know what's really funny? I managed between clicks. The Crimson Cartel spent years studying our predictable patterns, developing countermeasures for every standard protocol, and in the end, they were defeated by, what did you call it, Martinez? The power of friendship and excessive property damage, he grinned. Actually, Chun corrected, hanging upside down from my office's newly installed support beam. I'd had it put in just for her. I believe the official report lists it as synchronized tactical chaos with extreme prejudice and fabulous execution. Speaking of reports, M. Rickstall interjected, her scales settling into an amused purple. The cleaning crew has officially given up on removing all the glitter from the Peace Summit venue. They're calling it a permanent security feature now, adds ambience. Chun nodded sagely. Nothing says this place is well defended like random spots of tactical sparkle catching the light. And the prisoners? I asked, trying to maintain at least a veneer of professional concern. Williams struck a pose. To quote the great philosophers Bill and Ted, they're being most excellent. Turns out nothing reforms a hardened criminal quite like being defeated by what they described as a glitter-powered fever dream choreographed by caffeinated chaos goblins. Plus, Martinez added, they're really getting into the dance classes Chun's been teaching at the detention center. I blinked all for eyes. The what? Rehabilitation through rhythmic movement, Chun declared. You'd be amazed how hard it is to plan criminal activities when you're busy learning the electric slide. 3 of them have already applied to security training programs, M. Rickstall confirmed, pulling up the files. They said, and I quote, if you can't beat the chaos, join it. Looking around my office at these impossible humans and the aliens they'd infected with their particular brand of controlled insanity, I realized something profound. The galaxy had always been a chaotic place. We'd just been too busy trying to impose order to see the potential in embracing it. I suppose I should inform the council that we'll be expanding our training program, I sighed, trying to sound put upon, but probably failing. Though perhaps we should establish some guidelines about antimatter requisitions. Spoil sport, Chun muttered, but she was grinning, and maybe a limit on property damage. Now you're just being unreasonable, Martinez protested. And some regulations about unauthorized modifications to security vehicles. Williams raised a dramatic finger. To quote the great sage Tony Stark, sometimes you've got to run before you can walk. I don't know who that is, I clicked. But I'm assuming they caused extensive property damage as well. Commander Rickstall's scales shifted to a gentle, knowing blue. Admit it, you're actually enjoying this. I was. Against all logic, against every professional instinct, against a lifetime of believing in order and protocol, I was genuinely enjoying the beautiful chaos we'd created. Well, I said, reaching for my datapad, I suppose we should make it official. Rickstall, prepare the documentation for our new training division. We'll call it ... the Department of Tactical Chaos and Fabulous Intervention. Chun suggested. The Action Movie Academy, Martinez offered. The Shakespeare Security Initiative, Williams declared. ... We'll work on the name, I decided. But whatever we call it, I have a feeling the galaxy's criminal elements are about to learn a valuable lesson. Don't bring predictable plans to a chaos fight, Rickstall suggested. Exactly. As if to punctuate the moment, something exploded in the distance, followed by the distinct sound of glitter dispersal and enthusiastic whooping. That wasn't us, all three humans said simultaneously. Actually, Merrickstell's scales flickered with amusement. That was the Vexillian Guard squad practicing their dramatic breach and clear techniques. They've added a glitter cannon to the standard protocol. I should have been worried. Instead, I found myself nodding approvingly. Did they remember their one-liners? Of course, Shun beamed like a proud parent. I taught them myself, and that, perhaps, was the greatest victory of all. Not just defeating the Scarlet Syndicate, not just revolutionizing galactic security, but proving that sometimes the best way to face an unpredictable universe is to be even more unpredictable yourself, just preferably with glitter. So, Martinez spun in my chair about that animator requisition. No, but absolutely not. What if we'd promised to only use it for still no, and fine? He sighed dramatically. I guess we'll stick to conventional explosives and interpretive dance battles. And somehow, that felt like the perfect ending to this most improbable chapter in galactic security history. Well, almost the ending. We still had to deal with the cleanup crew's formal protest about the impossibility of removing glitter from ventilation systems. But that's a story for another day.